going live.
Oh, she's got an iPad. We're on Facebook. All right.
And we should be good to go. We'll double check and start sharing this on over.
Is that what you're doing? Sharing?
Well, I'm looking for it. I don't see it yet.
Yeah, I'm looking for it as well, making sure it's popping up. Yep, we're there.
All right. I'll share it.
And there we go. And I'm gonna put the Zoom link in there real quick as well.
All right.
Monica is on. I see Monica is on the Facebook Live there. Let me get the Zoom link just for in case I know some of your followers as well prefer going on over to Zoom. So I'll just copy and paste this Zoom link in, and everyone else that's already on Zoom, welcome. And everyone that's tuning into Facebook, welcome as well. We'll just have it. We just want to make sure all of you guys are ready to go in every which way that format that matches you best. Because we do not want you to miss out on Todd and Morgan.
What's that?
So we don't want
What's
them
that?
to miss out on joining you.
You can't get internet.
I'm trying to share it on my phone, but I can't get it to come up on the internet.
Yeah, our internet is not very good here. We seem to be able to only do one thing at a time.
No.
It's take your
That's
time.
cool. I did a live, so, you know.
Yep, so people should know.
Yeah, that's cool.
You did a live today.
Just about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I see Donna Schultz is on Facebook, and Monica's on Facebook. And then we have some beautiful, lovely people already on Zoom as well.
I'm going to go to your page.
Yeah, Waves of Light has it. And Facebook has been weird about letting me tag people in as well.
There it is. There it is. All right, so okay. I got a watch party on my page. So we'll see what happens.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, we've got
I'm gonna share it around.
You know, we've got people on Zoom. We've got people on Facebook. We're watching the Facebook feed. We're watching the Zoom. We've already got some texts. Hello from Australia. Hello from Las Vegas. And Sakota saying hello. Jessica, Todd, and Morgan. Big hugs. Much love. An amazing energy already. Sakota saying here in the room, sharing a big hug and love with all you beautiful souls. So we're trying to watch you all, but we're here with two amazing people who, as the Waves of Light team, we are so excited to have the both of you as speakers at the conference in January in Sarasota, Florida, January 17th to the 19th in 2020, which really is not that far away to say next year. Morgan's like, it feels like tomorrow. And Todd, it shows that you're watching. Your watch party's going finally. Todd Medina is watching us live, you guys.
There's 34 people in the house, but no, it's Morgan's coming out party.
What does that mean?
Hey.
Well, it means you're gonna come out and speak in front of people for the first time and live. right?
This isn't my first time.
Well, but I mean, you know what I mean.
With him in a different way, I guess, right? We'll go with that one, Morgan. We'll let him say it. You know, anyone who's watching from any other channel, if you want to, I have placed the Zoom link. You can join us on Zoom. If you know somebody who does not do Facebook and they only Zoom, send them the Zoom link. If you're on another Facebook Live, whether it be from Todd's sites or Enlightened Circles or my pages, come on over to Waves of Light, like it, follow it, because that's the way Facebook kind of has it now, where you have to like the page, follow the page in order to comment. But we want to see your comments, so we're watching. But we're here with the ever amazing Todd Medina and the ever so much more amazing Morgan Lee.
That's okay. I agree. I agree with you.
Well,
I just want to say
I had to say that because you share so much love, you know?
No, I totally agree with you. There's 37 people on the Waves of Light page, and there's 40 people on our page, and there's 9 or 10 people in Zoom. So that's cool.
Yeah, and then and I'm seeing 39 on 42 actually on Waves of Light right now. So they're coming in, they're filtering in. So we've got 45. So the more you say the numbers, they keep jumping up. Todd, keep it going. 47. So yeah, you know, we're here and you both are going to be speaking at the conference. You're going to be talking about love and relationships and all the good stuff that all of us are afraid to talk about. Why are we afraid to talk about it? Makes no damn sense, right? Why are we get afraid to talk about love? Why we get afraid to talk about relationships? We kind of run away and hide from it. And the two of you have your own stories, your own personal journeys, and how you've merged together and come to this whole new place is beautiful and inspiring for the two of you. I know from both the little bits I've heard from both of you and you've shared, but also for so many of the rest of us. So, you know, and you guys have been on this crazy journey now in the States that's just bonding that even more. It's taking off. So tell us, share a little bit. You know, you guys share daily with everyone else, and you guys are used to interviewing everyone else and bringing everyone else out and sharing all of their knowledge, sharing all their gifts. But this is a time we want to let you guys shine.
Yeah, I just want to share something. I'm probably going to be sharing more of the bad stuff than the good stuff. The bad stuff is actually where the magic is. I'm going to be sharing, you know, the experiences of our boot camp, you know, how he went through that boot camp, how I went through my own boot camp. You know, I don't see this as something we did by accident. And it's not that I was intending to actually end up with a divine conscious partner, but I know the specific things that I was taught to do to actually really push through that shadow work to make this a much easier experience. So for me, sharing the judged bad stuff is actually going to be more beneficial than sharing all the goodies. Not that I won't be sharing, we won't be sharing goodies as well. But you know, the bad stuff is where all the gold is, you know, and how we expand relationships and how we actually get there and why we reached where we reached.
Yeah, it's important.
Where we are reaching.
No, well, yeah, we reach it and then we continue to reach. So you're right, reach and reaching, right? And I love how you say, I'm going to be sharing the bad stuff, because from the bad is how we learn the good, or how we overcome everything. Because until we can look the bad in the face, we're just going to keep cycling the bad.
Absolutely. So we were given, or I was given, I think about 12 years ago, specific instruction on how to clear all of that. Well, it is shadow work, but for me, it's like conscious reprogramming to 0 point all of those buttons that we have, you know, especially in relationships. And I did that for myself. So by the time I met Todd and he was ready to do it, I was actually just able to own the space. And he funnily enough, he calls it, you know, he went through boot camp for 5 weeks. But for me, that has been our gift. We actually became conscious creators. We became fully responsible to own all of that in ourselves. We used the tool that was shared with me. And so therefore it made not just our relationship, but all other external relationships either much better or disappear altogether. But those ones that disappeared were the ones that we weren't meant to be in, that didn't grow with us. And I don't mean that in a judgmental way. And then what we experience from that is that most of the people, nearly all of the people that we meet from there, actually resonate at the same frequency. So it looks like the bad stuff because us humans like to judge things, but they're where the gifts are and where we actually find peace, zero pointing, a place of balance. So that's going to be my predominant focus on our talk or workshop or whatever we're doing, and sharing the tool that I was given and that we use still daily. And then sharing, after that, and I think it's important that it's after that, then sharing the magic that can happen, once we clear all those lower vibrations, all that old programming from our field, we open ourselves up to something far greater and far bigger.
Yeah.
Knew it.
Whatever she said.
Whatever she ditto. You put up the air quote. I got
Ditto.
Ditto. I think it's, Morgan, the things you're saying is so important. I mean, I know my husband and I are very excited to be there and listen and learn new things. It doesn't matter how many years you've been doing this. It doesn't matter how awakened you are. It doesn't matter how conscious you are. There's always something new. There's always new ways we can learn for ourselves, which is very important, and for each other. Because if I can't make myself better, I'm not going to be better for my spouse, my partner, my kids, my family, any kind of relationship I'm having. But it really does go like with what you're saying, knowing the bad within so that you can recognize it and overcome it and then not repeat it. And I know Todd's kind of talked about this a little bit on his shows. Even when you had me on your show and you were interviewing me, it kind of came up in different ways, in different formats of you talking about recognizing certain things. I have a decent memory. I don't remember everything. Spirit's bringing it back in, so I'm remembering the show. But I remember you talking about like, hey, I had this life, but until I met Morgan, was I not able to really awake and embark upon these things.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that was the whatever role we play in regard to the dance of the masculine and feminine energies, not people. So there were things that I was unaware of because if you think about it, you have a feminine energy, you have a masculine energy. And if you look at that collectively, the feminine energy was suppressed. The masculine energy had a false sense of self. And so, as a man, it was very interesting because there were things that were being pointed out to me that I thought were givens that came with God, But then I realized, that's where at some point I realized when I started to understand and see and experience the Mother Goddess energy, that's where we were first programmed that God was a man, And I'm not trying to be funny, but the whole point is, even if God is a neutral gender and comprises both, which would theoretically make sense, we've never heard about the other side, And so on an individual level, it was a very profound thing to then start to strip away all these things that you had as a man that you thought didn't apply. You thought they were, that's the way it went. So that's the long way of saying that I think all of us are waking up to the feminine frequency and wisdom and grace and love and all that. And now I think what's getting interesting is the true masculine energy is starting to rise in all of us, whether you be a man or a woman.
Yes. Yeah, I was just, funny enough, I was just going to ask you about that and say, how was it for each one of you prospectively? Because this masculine energy that's on the planet has been what's the major player that we've seen, right? Consciously. And now the feminine energy is just coming up, coming through. There's nothing stopping it. But for you as a man, like what you were saying, like for you as a man, it's I know my husband's going through it. I know my brothers, I know every man I know is going through it in their own perspective way, whether they realize it or not. But it's changing, and the paradigm shift is occurring and changing. But even for us women, we possess masculine energy within, and we start to have where we thought we might have been balanced, and we start to feel an imbalance within, and we're not quite sure because we're mostly in the feminine energy. And now we're starting to feel this imbalance. And so you have two people going a little bit unbalanced and it can rise up some problems or some issues. How are some ways, I know you're going to share more at the conference with us in January. How are some ways that you guys have like consciously inspired other people to kind of move through this?
You should talk about the masculine energy within yourself, that just happened like in the last 2 weeks.
I don't see our job as inspiring anybody. I believe that everybody inspires themselves, and everybody is their own teacher and all of that sort of stuff first. For me, I've always been very quiet, sitting back, not really saying anything. But actually, that's not true. There was a period that I was louder earlier on.
Yeah.
But after doing all this work, then all those buttons were shut down, and I actually went to the opposite extreme of not saying anything, which the opposite extreme of one energy is as broken as the opposite that you're seeing in someone else. So, as soon as I started recognizing, okay, he's too loud, I'm too quiet, how do I find a balance with that? I'm too overly concerned with other people's needs, and he's the opposite, So once I started addressing all that and doing this work, then a lot of that dropped away. My own masculine stuff, what I'm finding at the moment is, where Todd was only up until a few months ago, occasionally a little bit too verbal and a little bit too loud or whatever, I was still being too quiet.
Projecting, you mean?
Okay. Well, he was still projecting and having his little male tantrums or whatever, and I was just rolling my eyes and walking away and leaving him to it and saying, okay. There came a point in time where I had to stop just saying okay and step into my own masculine energy and actually saying, you know what, I'm not okay with this. I get that you need to do that, and I don't want to stop you from doing anything, but I'm letting you know that there's the last time that I experienced that. I love you, but I'm not doing that anymore. Now, for me, that was very much my own masculine stepping up and saying, like, enough is enough. I'm too quiet. I've got these things that I should be doing. There was a part of me who was almost expecting Todd to do those things for me. I'm finding very much in the last couple of weeks, in fact, my higher self voice has been feminine for the last 15 to 20 years. In the last 2 weeks, it's actually switched over to a masculine voice. I've been merging with a masculine energy, which made me a little bit uncomfortable at first because I thought, I know this isn't Todd. It was my own masculine energy. So the masculine is actually arising in all of us. I also recognize that the false power of the masculine has had the dominant power, and the dominant power is never going to give that up willy-nilly. It's going to take the lower power, the feminine power, to actually step up and make a stand and saying, I'm not doing this anymore. And actually be prepared. So many women make these threats and say, well, this is them, and they just ignore it. But like, to really understand your own masculine energy merged in balance with your feminine energy, because there's plenty of women on the planet with excess masculine, but to actually do that from a state of balance, then he can hear you and he will listen.
So Todd, did you listen? Did the he listen to the masculine?
No, it's interesting. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's interesting because if you look back like 25 years ago when that book came out by John Gray and his partner, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, right? And it was a very good book. And it talked about the psychology of being a woman and the conditioning and so on. It wasn't to me, what at the time in 5D terms, but why is a man a man? And why does he have a man cave? And why does a woman this? And it was very obvious to me what the dynamics were. But when this energy started to come in, and I started to see Morgan and I as a representation, the physical, what was actually happening collectively, energetically, even. Then I started to take a different approach, and that approach was like everything else in my life and everybody else's life that's listening, which is that intuition. And the intuition said, "Hey, shut up, listen for a while. The pendulum may swing a little bit far over, but you need that." And I think as a whole, that's what the world needs. I think that's what every traditional relationship needs.
Right.
And I think it's interesting because we've had a progressive interaction with dragon energy. And last night, two came in and Morgan wrote about it. And to me, when I think about the subjects we're going to talk about at the conscious conference, Waves of Light, shadow work, sacred sexuality, and sacred union, that dragon energy represents it all. Because the dragon energy comes in and says, "Hey, I love you so much, I'm going to kick your ass." I'm like that Kali energy on steroids. Because it's not just masculine, it's feminine too. Some come in as feminine, some come in as masculine. But then you go to the next level, and there's these interactions that you have with that energy, which is only labeled as dragon just to explain it, because it's all us. You start to have the physical and the non-physical coming together, coalescing, and you start to have physical things happen to you and etherical at the same time. And then the last part being sacred union. I think that's why couples, regardless of gender, that are really anchoring this on the earth are so important, is because it is in the physical. And it is the path to unity consciousness, oneness. How can you get to unity consciousness or oneness with 100 people if you can't do it with one person? So these are opportunities and examples, to promote that energy and expand that energy, where you actually say, you know what, you're you, I'm me, but we're one. We're fucking one. Period.
Yeah. No, it's true. I know my husband and I have been going through that. I know other couples I know have been going through that, where I myself have, like you, Morgan, where you're feeling that masculine energy and the dragon energy coming in and saying, you know what? Okay, I have been silent. I let you get away with things because to me in the long run, it's not worth getting into it. So I'm just going to allow you to go through whatever you need to go through and go through what you need to go through. And then when you're ready, we'll talk. But now it's also that energy of where I can't stay silent. Like you're talking, Todd, the dragon energy of I love you too much. The cycles need to end or stop. And to be able to stand in your own with your powers to honor both sides, but to still do it with a balance of the feminine grace and energy that you were originally being silent about. And I've been seeing it, I've been feeling it come up. So I think it's rising up in everybody. It's rising up in many couples, clients I've had, whether they're not understanding their husbands or husbands not understanding their wives, or same-sex partners not understanding the other person. Any of you that are out there of same-sex partners or something, and you've been feeling this turmoil going on, understand it's what you guys are talking about, this whole energy rising that's coming up. And maybe that'll bring you into the forgiveness aspect of it as well. Because when we do stand up to the other person, we're not just standing up to stand up or try to stand our ground like we may have, like Todd saying 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? We're standing up with a new compassion and love energy while we do it. So forgiveness really can come back in, I think, and we can settle things. And, it doesn't even have to be major problems. It's just wash the dishes. I'm being sarcastic, right? Because that's what a lot of couples fight over.
No, you're not. You're being real. I'm sorry, but you're absolutely being real.
Well, it is real, but but some couples don't have any problems over the dishes. But stereotypically, that's what you hear. A lot of problems can be over something of a chore of a dishes.
I'm sorry, the dishes still exist in 5D or whatever you call us as well. And I'm not suggesting for a moment we're 5D. But
yeah,
but
actually, dishes are something real.
That's the last thing. I'm wondering if it's the last thing. I said to Todd, men on this planet actually want a woman. And yet so many relationships that you see, they keep flipping in of this, mother-son or parent paradigm.
Yeah.
Parent paradigm.
Mother.
And if we're still, if we're still with partners that are still got teenager aspects of them that they're not, we automatically, if we're unconscious, flip into the mother aspect of like, can you please clean up after yourself? Can you please pick up your clothes? I mean, that still exists. And there's a part of me who wonders if that will be the last thing.
Yep.
And then, I think it was only today I was saying to myself, if I have an over-awareness of people outside of myself, then of course I'm going to bring up the opposite energy of somebody who's going to be under-aware of their environment. So, for me, working through the polarities rather than focusing on the issues and bringing it back into myself and then addressing both of them as my own seems to be where the magic happens.
I love to do that. I love to do.
Have you got a son? I have a son. And for the first 5 years, I was slightly unconscious. And then for the rest of the time, it's like, I'm not doing this for you. You don't want to do your homework. I support you not doing your homework, but I'm not writing a note. You work it out however you want. I don't believe in the whole homework system and the schooling system anyway, but I will support you in whatever you do.
Yeah.
So, we as mothers have actually created this false power, as well as not allowing our men, the masculine men on this planet, to actually grow up and be responsible for themselves. That sounds like man bashing. It really isn't.
Right.
I'm just talking about, the last finer details. And is that them or is it us? I get triggered into my mother stuff every now and again. And I have to really consciously choose not to fall into that because I don't want to be my partner's mother.
Exactly. Yeah. I say, I'm here to assist. I'm here to assist my partner. I'm here to love my partner, but I'm not here to be the savior of my partner, or, I might do spiritual healing and wellness for other people, but I'm not here to necessarily be my partner's teacher. I'm here to be their partner. And therefore I make sure to step out of the teacher role. I make sure to step out of the mother role. And if I coddle or do certain things, it's my fault. I can't get mad because I'm the enabler at that point, and so I try to look at it in a different perspective. But I agreed, and these energies are just so flowing and so fast right now that how are you guys like kind of suggesting to people that we just get a handle on it, because time's flowing fast, energies are flowing fast, and I think sometimes these problems are popping up and people don't realize that it's because of
Stop talking.
Ascension.
Stop talking. That's the most powerful thing you should do. Stop talking. Go off, go on your own separate ways, acknowledge we're not in alignment at the moment. I don't understand what this is, or I do, but it's not my job to tell him. Just be in your own individual space and let them work out for themselves. Stop talking. We do way too much talking. And when I stop talking, it's not from that old-fashioned, oh, you've just pissed me off, I'm giving you the silent treatment.
Yeah.
We're not in alignment at the moment. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm going to say nothing. And then I go off and I write down, what do I think he's doing? What do I think is happening to me? I write all of that. I look at the polarities, I clear it in myself, and then I remain in silence until we're ready to do what we call a review, which is we will sit down honestly and open with each other and say, what just happened over the last few hours or the last few days or the last few weeks, whatever it takes. What was your experiences? Well, this was my experience. How are we clear on this now? We have almost like a business meeting review, but we honor and
Did you guys freeze?
Allow
There you are.
that we're not, I'm not okay within myself or me. Let's just go and look in on ourselves and see what's going on here. That's my advice. What's yours?
Yeah,
That was
what's
real quick,
mine?
Morgan, but you said we honor and allow, pick it up from honor and allow, because you were freezing right through that, but I think we got the gist of it. You honor and allow and what?
We honor and allow it, you know, two human beings can feel, oh, we're not in alignment. There's something not quite right here at the moment. Most women, most women make the mistake of going to the partner and say, something's not right, and you know, it must be you and it must be you, and tell me what's going on, tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah.
You need to clean up more, and you need to pick up your clothes, and that's the time that you should actually be silent and honor and allow the misalignment. Because we actually think it's within the relationship, but 9 times out of 10, it's in us. Most of the time it's in us, and occasionally it's actually not ours. Then we should be big enough to hold the space for what they're going through. But this forced communication to try to fix things before the energy has fixed things, before we've surrendered and let go and let God, is just more human 3D drama, stories, control, force, all of those wrong things. I'm not in alignment with myself all day, every day. Neither is he. Neither is our relationship. Most of the time it is, but we actually just shut our mouths and allow, oh, one of us or both of us isn't in alignment at the moment. Let's honor that and just accept it.
Now don't shut down on us, Todd.
I'm not going to shut down. No, she told me a long time ago. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's the collective energy. So that's easy for me because that takes all the personal out of it.
Yeah.
I was actually, before she went into that, going to let's talk about being silent. The other thing that I would say too, it's like what we might talk about today in regard to shadow work and sacred sexuality and sacred union, based on our experience, would be totally different than what we're going to talk about on January the 17th, 18th, or 19th. All right.
Amen. Yeah.
Because it is just like everybody's individual ascension, just like she's talking about at a human level. Sometimes she's not off, sometimes I'm off, sometimes something's off. So there's this other part of it. And I think the only place that we can really get anything from is having like a conversation like this, because what's really happening real time. And so I might try to say, you know what, this happened to me, and I write a post, and this is how my journey has been or recently been in a divine union or whatever. But tomorrow that changes. And so the reason I learned that was because anything that I felt uncomfortable and I felt imbalance and I felt like, oh, I know the right answer and maybe she doesn't, if you want to, just specify it to the relationship as an example of the overall energy, I didn't really find gold. And this was probably 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, in stages where I could really take it into myself. So for instance, if I felt like I was what did you say a minute ago? Over aware of something and she was under aware,
Right.
or she was over aware of something and I was under aware. If I feel like I'm over aware, no matter how strong my ego's coming in, I know it ain't about her. It's about me. And I told this story a couple of times on a couple of shows. This happened about 3 weeks ago. I walked right back here one night, and it was nothing big. We get along like this. We really do. We're quiet a lot, but we don't have drama. We don't have all that stuff. And but anyway, I walked outside and I said to my whatever we talked to, my higher self, I said, Morgan is thinking this, so this is happening. And my higher self and I don't hear that voice. I feel it and I know
Right.
things and all that, but I heard it come and go. It's not happening because of her. It's happening because you're carrying this thought. And I went, oh, wow. Okay. So I used that on a conscious level, moment by moment, and it's helped me a lot. That's good for me, good intel for me today. But come January 17th, it's going to be something totally different because this stuff's moving so fast for everybody. And like she said, I think we had this 3D love concept and all that. So you had the person and the other person, and you had the third energy theoretically. But really what we had was a codependency. So you never got out of, that entanglement between the two people. So the third energy couldn't thrive. I don't think she's written anything on this over the last few weeks, but she said it to me a lot, which is to allow that third energy, like we have more than one third energy, say one is Soulogy, to allow it to thrive by not trying to control it and contain it and all that. And I see it the same way. I see our energy period, the original energy that we produce, like a sun or whatever, like a universe, from our interaction is something that is replicated, through the fire of life. So, on one hand, it's very etherical. We started in the ethers. We didn't see each other for a year and a half. On the other hand, the physical part is mind-blowing. And not mind-blowing like in the old 3D sense, I mean, her foot gave me like several female orgasms last night. Just touching my foot. And we were both connecting. So that wasn't even an issue. Sex, sensuality wasn't even an issue. But every time I tried to calm down, her foot would move. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, so, it's all connected.
It is all connected, and it's amazing when you can. I love that you're being real about this and you're talking about this, because some of us have had the same experiences, whether we've had them as often or as not. But when you're really connecting with that person and their light body and everything they are and everything that you are, you can have what we can in our 3D experience minds or words about orgasms. Those are not, they don't even happen in the 3D format that we're used to having, that sexual stimulation orgasm. It is in a much more, what we would say, innocent type of format compared to the act that normally would have caused it. But it's just because we are so in sync with, like you're saying, that other source energy within ourselves allowing it to be part of that, and now in touch with that light body of that other person as well. And it is amazing. There's nothing that compares to it. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's
there's a trick, standout thing that for me, that's any time I touch him with pure love, not out of obligation or performance or anything, but anytime I touch him anywhere, I can touch him on the shoulder. If I'm sending, and you can't consciously do this. If I'm touching him from my heart,
yes,
his body will respond with that. Last night we had our palms touching. Every now and again, I just felt so much pure gratitude and love and honor and value and everything of this man that I know my foot wanted to just touch his, because we were doing, palm to palm. They're the moments he would feel that much love directed into his whole body, that his whole body would react. So yeah, what you're saying is 100% right.
Yeah, I know it's happened to me in my personal life with my husband, and even like yesterday. And I know Todd and I talked about this when I was on Zoology. He's a former Marine and a retired police officer and has suffered so much PTSD and everything. And yesterday was an emotional day for him, being Veterans Day. And but luckily we're at the stage where he says, I need you. I just need you right now. Can you be with me 5 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 1 hour? Because I was doing some work and some tapings for the upcoming online summit we're going to have for Quantum Leap Your Waves of Light before the Waves of Light conference. And we'll be launching that and telling you all about it. But I was doing some taping in the morning, and then I just knew, and luck, you know, divinely everything happens. One of the persons that was going to do it yesterday as well canceled and moved it to today. And I was able to just be with him and him with me. And we slept and relaxed so good in ways, you know, earlier he was watching the war movies and it was kind of triggers and upsetting. And he's like, I just really need you right now. And he was able to vocalize that. I was able to be there for him. And then we were able to just allow ourselves, our physical bodies, light bodies, everything, just to connect in such a beautiful way and format that we even had the most divine sleep we've had in like the longest time. Not that we don't sleep great. The best time we have is when we're, like you said, touching each other just out of pure love and just sleeping that way. But nothing was running through our minds. The PTSD was out of the way. Anything that really could have come down yesterday on him, on me, because of that, or your thoughts in your head, preconceived notions, it was all out the window. And it was just the most beautiful gift that we had, you know, just to spend that whole afternoon like that in that peacefulness. It was amazing, fabulous. So I highly encourage everyone that's tuning in and listening, get connected. Definitely, first of all, do your work on yourself. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and see what you need to see so that you get to experience these things. I'm glad that you guys are talking about it. We're being real about it. I know that's one thing I love about the two of you. You're real. You're going to talk about it and you're bringing it to the forefront, because when we don't talk about it, we really do stay stuck in more in this 3D type of world and not allowing ourselves into the multi-dimensional part of it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's going to come out more and more is going to be the uniqueness or the difference between the feminine and the masculine. And what I mean by that is the 3D or human gender, right? And so I was talking to a friend the other day, and I've picked up things from other men that have been posting stuff, and what I'm trying to say is that the women have already understood the emotional, that's probably not the right word, but that there needed to be at a minimum an emotional connection, emotional understanding and equilibrium. And from there, maybe something etheric could happen or whatever. And so they compromised, the man either compromised or didn't know. But I think we're moving into a place now where many men are going to struggle, like I have and did, and probably won't much anymore. Thank God. And that's where, and the only way I can put this is I thought of this about a day and a half ago, and I was taking a walk, and I was thinking to myself about the whole thing, about how Morgan and I moved out of 3D programmed, you know, for lack of a better word, intimacy into a higher, you know, higher expanding intimacy. And I thought, how can I put that in like really just plain terms? And the way I would put it in is I would say, you know, when you're a kid, you have this curiosity and everything is new. And I can actually feel myself as these layers of the old 3D masculine. I got to perform, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to be a man. And all this stuff goes away. It's where, like, if you look at something, you might go into it with a lot of conditioning and say, okay, whatever it may be, what am I going to do with this? Versus, what is this? What is this? It could be a finger, a shoulder, a hand, a breast, a leg, whatever. It could be an energy. It could be something in your connection that's not even physical, but what is this? Versus, how can I use this? What's in it for me? And I think that's a big deal for men, because our programming is so deep that we move right into it, you know, like, what does she want me to do? What do I need to do to be a man? You know, so I think that's going to be the next big phase. That's just my own personal theory, because we all know that the feminine energy landed 3 or 4 years ago and it's continually evolved. But I think we're going to start to see an energy in both men and women of this true divine masculine.
Have you, as a question, since you all interview so many people, you have such a large audience, thank you to everyone who's joining us right now as well and being part of this and sharing your energy with us. Have you noticed that going along with the questions you just said, there's the conceptualization of what a man should be, and then you're always worried, what is the woman expecting of me, whether it be the financial bearer of the household, or even like you were alluding to sexually, what does she want from me, how does she want from me?
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that maybe a lot more men, now that that energy shift is changing, do they almost feel lost? Have you been seeing well, you know what I mean? Because there was an order to things. There was a rhythm to things. And now it's kind of like, wait a second, she's telling me what she wants, but I don't know. Can I trust this? They're so used to having the mental conversation with preconceived notions go on in their head. Have you noticed there's a little bit more of a confusion?
I think it's up to the woman first. Actually, that sounds really awful. It's up to somebody first in a relationship to recognize, I'm performing. I've been performing my whole life and I don't want to do this anymore and I'd rather have nothing. So both of us actually committed to celibacy for quite some years. That celibacy for us ignited a reset for something different and something new. So by the time I met Todd, both of us said to each other, I said to him, well, I'm celibate and I'll come over there and meet you, but I'm not doing anything. He goes, oh, hell yeah. I've been celibate for 2 years longer than you and I don't want to do anything either. But we stuck to that, you know, and both, why are you laughing?
I just think you're funny.
You know, it's recognizing, and not just in this, but in every aspect of life, where am I performing? Where have I bought into somebody else's concepts and ideas and expectations? I don't know what to do. I'm actually going to stop and do nothing. So that was present from the very, very beginning of our relationship. And we didn't compromise on that.
Mm-hmm.
You can continue.
Mm-hmm.
You can continue, because I think it was a question directed to the masculine.
I'm the ultimate optimist, the ultimate positive thinker, the ultimate, believer. And if I look at everything that we've all been through, and I look at the energies of the feminine and the masculine, and I'm really speaking more on a collective level, I look at the masculine, and I look at, for instance, demographics at Soulogy's 65% women, 35% men. It used to be almost 80% women. On our YouTube channel, which we haven't done a lot with until January of this year, so it really doesn't have a lot of traction or a lot of good metrics to look at, but it's 95% women.
Mm-hmm.
If I look at my own journey, and like we talked about, she talked about, we both talked about the performance thing. If you just go into a man's psyche, for instance, there are things that I would do which were out of behavioral patterns, but there was actually an element or a thread of, that's where the gold is. Like I can express my love energetically and fuse the physical and the non-physical. And I think we all have that innately, but she would stop me or I would stop myself. Because in other words, if there's a doubt, this is just me. I'm not even asking her. This is just me. If there's a doubt, just stop. Just stop. Yeah. If it looks like anything before, just stop. And so what I really liked about your question and your comment was you said, as a man, okay, so financially, in the bedroom, in the yard,
Right.
I mean, but it's all the same energy. And Morgan's always said a copy's a copy's a copy. So if I'm in a relationship, and do I have to mow the lawn? Do I need to do the manly things? It all is the same. So it's a really kind of I don't want to say complex, because it's not, because it's very intuitive, it's like an intuitive vibration of knowing that if you can treat each other in this space, whatever, you know what I mean? It's going to carry over. So let's hold that vibration, and let's not make, like so many of us have, to no, no blame on anyone. Let's not make the sexual rendezvous the basis of or the foundation of our, what we think is, what we have. It's not like that. It's in every little thing. And so it changes that intimacy, like it drops it on its head. And for a man, it's like having your balls cut off and everything cut off, literally. And basically going to the table and saying, what do I do now? So I am still the same divine soul and spirit, but I don't have my physicality. I mean, I don't know about other men, but I've had to get to that point, and it wasn't easy. But like everything else in the ascension for me, that information came in for a reason, and it was not anything like it had happened before. So I still believe that, if it doesn't make sense and if it's not like it was before, try it. At least try it. Whatever the subject is, whatever the aspect is.
When you take sex from the table, and we've watched other couples do this, they say, okay, we're going to try it. We're going to commit to no sex at all for the next 3 months and just see what happens. Some couples we've seen actually split up, but the majority of them, it brings up all the stuff, number one, or number two, they actually enter a space of loving each other for each other rather than the performance or the expectations of the relationship. It's a really powerful thing to do. To actually, let's take sex off the table for the next 3 months or 6 months and see who we are in this relationship minus that.
If you think about the energy energetically and not like the superficial, if you look at the energy of where we've all come from, now whether you met on a one-night stand or whether you had a courting period, the basis, the foundation of our codependent relationship was based on that. And
performance.
Like frequency, performance, and whatever.
You
right?
take the bins out and I'll make sure I rub your back tonight. You clean up your clothes and I'll make sure I cook you a really nice dinner. This is the first start of dropping all that power games where you actually become best friends.
Yeah.
You actually start communicating.
Yeah.
You start becoming more aware of each other's needs. Well, we're not having sex tonight. What else can we do? Well, let me bath you, Todd, or Morgan.
Okay.
That's sure you just can't. He's not going to miss an opportunity. Smart man.
That's right. But you take sex off the table and it actually starts bringing people down to what I really want from this other partner. Well, let's sit and talk instead, or let's bath each other, or let's massage each other, or let's cook for each other, or it's and in that time, and I think it only takes 3 months, and maybe for some a little bit longer, you actually allow for a reset. And I would include masturbation in this as well. To let that old 3D paradigm of sexual energy actually go. And without any attachments or whatever, all of a sudden, all these new connections of what a couple are meant to be together, and I don't care if they're man, woman, 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 man, man, it doesn't matter, but it actually opens up a space of what else have we got? If we're not both in programming and, if I cook you a nice dinner tonight and put on a little sexy lingerie, then I'm going to get you to do all your performance and I'm going to get my rocks off. It drops all of that away. It is. It's a very, very powerful thing to do. I mean, I would highly recommend along doing that is really understanding the depth of shadow work within relationships first up, because it will bring your stuff up. But having the right tools, you can clear that whole paradigm at the same time.
Well, and I love that you're bringing up in the communication. I know Carrie placed their hand up on, I don't know if you meant to, Carrie, or not. I tried to type into the chat real quick just in case you responded, they place their hand up. So I don't know if you have time for a quick question. I know we're getting here on the hour, but I do love that you brought up just open communication is almost like the key. If you can start to say, hey, if you don't mind, can you do the dishes? I'll rub your back. I really don't feel like doing dishes today, but you know, you doing the dishes is a reward for me. I'll reward you by rubbing your back, whatever it might be for the other person, so that now you're co-living, cohabitating, co-creating.
Yeah, but those discussions actually don't need to happen. It's like when you drop that sexual energy, which is creativity, which is usually the foundation of people's relationships, and you let lust die in a relationship, then you're resetting yourself to truly align with unconditional love for each other. So it's not that we have to have conversations, if you wash the dishes tonight, I'll rub your back, because that's still codependency. It's like letting go of everything within our old relationship paradigm allows for a reset. And okay, we can't have sex tonight. What are we going to do instead? Well, let's watch a movie, or let's have a bath together, or let's, you know, just talk or whatever. We don't talk about what we want from each other. We usually clear that within ourselves, and we have what we call reviews, and we talk about what was your experience a couple of days ago. Well, what was yours? You know, it changes the whole paradigm of relationships.
You know, I think the challenge, like everything in the ascension, is whatever's going to work, so to speak, we don't even know what it is, right? So sometimes the explanations that you try to come by are very difficult. So if you look at, like, instead of the conversation between two people, what goes on in the old paradigm in our head? Well, she's not, you know, going to bed with me often enough, or he's not doing this, or she's not doing that. This is in our own head. So now you look at something else, and I'm just trying to give you an idea of the atmosphere. The silence isn't like silence, like hear a pin drop, but
it's silent treatment.
No, it's
actually a conscious. Let's just be quiet and trust that the other one's doing what they need to do.
Yeah, it's respect, and it's for both ways, right? And then the other thing, if you use the example of, like, I didn't watch TV, and she didn't either, for like 10 years, and then we started watching movies that seemed to have some type of sequential synchronicity with whatever we're doing. And so you would think somebody says, oh, well, we sit home and watch movies, and, you know, we're like, you know, but it's not like that. I might be sitting on that side, she's sitting on this side. We might be sitting together like this. We might be watching a movie, and 3 or 4 times during the movie, look at each other and just kiss each other. We don't say anything. It's not that fluffy love and light, you know, that happily ever after in that sense. It's something else that I think it's taken a little getting used to. But to be able to sit down and watch a movie, when all these energies are coming down, all these energies are coming down. It's not about, oh my God, do you love me? Oh my God, do I love you? Oh my God, what are we going to do? You know, where are we going to live? How are we going to make it? It's none of that. It's just being in this space, as we have been as individuals, going, what the hell's going on?
We don't know. Let's pick a random movie and trust that movie will speak to us. And it does when you do it like that. It really does. So somebody had a question. I'm sorry, Jessica.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I just want to be honoring your time as well. Carrie has a question. And right before that as well, we have another comment that says from Denise, it says the ingrained habits we have in our DNA has to be shaken up. 2019 HGH has been an amazing year of transformation. So I am going to open it real quick for Carrie to talk, and then we're going to be observant as well of this beautiful time that you're sharing with us. So Carrie, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I just wanted to add one thing that I've noticed happening. There's been such a focus on the feminine, you know, getting realigned, but I think that it's more not a woman-man issue as much as everybody is being realigned within the masculine and feminine in ourselves. I, for one, am actually way more masculine. And so all of my relationships over the last 30 years have been this struggle of kind of a dominant personality. And just within the last year, I've had to work on that myself within my relationship. But at the same time, you know, I have that femininity, and I see a lot of men kind of struggling with what's going on because they're seeing that, you know, this push for femininity, but it's very confusing for the men because they want to evolve, but it's a duality in each of us. And the other thing that I know and I've noticed going on is that these healing wounds, especially from trauma and sexual trauma and even ancestral sexual trauma, is coming up right now. And that is, I think, bringing back so many memories, past life memories, DNA memories that are dealing with the feminine trauma and the male trauma. And so it's two different things going on. And I just think, you know, the more that we can focus on ourselves and the balance, because relationships have to have a balance within each other, because then it's not like, oh, well, you know, you do this and I do that. You have to look at yourselves as a couple and what works for you individually. Everybody is different. It doesn't matter if it's two women or two men or it's that. Yeah. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I agree with sorry, I was pushing the wrong button here. I was trying to make sure. I would agree with what Carrie was saying myself, you know, and it's all those energies. And I believe it's the same thing you guys were hinting on and talking about. It's dealing with the feminine and the masculine within. We're all dealing with it. I mean, I know I've seen it in myself, in clients I work with, people I talk to. The DNA is remembering the trauma, the ancestral DNA, as well as remembering the trauma. And it's the time that we're releasing all this and we're balancing it all together. So it's a beautiful time. And like you said, Todd, what we're saying today is divinely all coming out for everybody right now that's joining us. Thank you everyone for joining. But at the same time, when we see you in January 17th, 18th, 19th in Sarasota, it's going to be some of this, but it's also going to be what's new and pertinent to that time in that manner and who's around at that point. So it's very real. Time is moving fast. We're keeping it real here, folks, on Waves of Light. You know, I thank the both of you. I know it's getting dark over there too, as it's getting dark here and everywhere early. I thank the both of you for taking your time out of your day to come and share a little bit of your waves of light with all of us and share a little bit of your insight as to what you're going to be speaking on as well in Sarasota. You can find out more about the conference, wavesoflight.org. It's wavesoflight.org. You can register for the conference if you want. Now, I will tell you, wait on registering today because you're going to find a whole new registration coming out. Todd and Morgan are going to have their own link as well, and there will be a nice price discount to this conference in Sarasota. And we're also having an online summit that you can be a part of. Please join us if any of this resonates with you. Please join us in Sarasota or join us for the online summit all the way through. I also would like to just say, hey, where can people find the two of you? And I know that if things are resonating with you guys, they also have a site you can go and donate for the work that they do. So Todd, would you and Morgan go ahead and share that with us, where they can find you? And
well, they can find her on her page, me on my page. Well, really, the work we do originates on my page because of the algorithms at Facebook. Everything's put on YouTube. There's a little bit of a delay. We're catching up. So Soulogy Group, SoulogyOneStudios Facebook page, my page, Morgan's page. And then as far as the contributions at PayPal, I don't know what it is, but I'll put it in the comments. I don't know.
Please do, because I do know that there's people that have asked, and I want to make sure that we have a way to place that in the comment after as well, so that if it's something that people want to, they have a resource. If not, I'm sure they can find it. Find you guys mainly on Facebook then, instead of a website at this point. And I know they're very active. Todd and Morgan are very active on their Facebook pages. So you guys, they're there. If this resonates, go listen. You have a resource, and they're amazing, beautiful hearts and souls, just as each and every single one of you are. Thank you guys. Denise is saying all the slop is coming to the surface. She enjoyed the live. Enjoyed the live. It's excellent online summit. Stargazer saying love you. There's a lot of people. I saw some heart emojis. Lori Appleby on Facebook was saying communication was everything. So communication is everything. And thank you both for being here to communicate love, relationships, and being connected to our higher self and in the oneness for this whole consciousness to move forward.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you soon.
I know. I can't wait to give you guys hugs in January. It's not. Hopefully, we'll see you through New Mexico. If not, sometime soon.
All right.
Lots of love to
Okay.
you guys.
Bye-bye.
Everybody have a beautiful evening.